Thinking Class. We bring together forward-thinking, spiritually conscious individuals to learn, share, grow, and reframe our mindsets. We push to reach our maximum potential on all levels so that we can unlock new spiritual and practical paths to strengthen the relationships that matter most and usher in a new era of intellectual and behavioral mastery. Thank you for joining the Thinking Class, LDA's personal AI. Mr. Davis here to serve you.
Salute everyone. This is Lawrence D. Adams. Shout out to everyone. How are you guys doing today on this Friday? Let's get it today. Let me know where we're gonna do a little something different. Let me know where you're from in the chat room. If you're watching when you come in, let me know where you're from in the chat room. Let me know where you are from in the chat room. Let's get it going today. Shout out to the Thinking Classes when spirituality and the game combines. Salute to everything. So let me know where you are in the chat room. If you're coming in, let everybody know where you from in the chat room. I'm trying to get this one camera to adjust right quick. If you coming in the chat room, let me know where you're from, where you at. If you from the East Coast, West Coast, Texas, wherever you are, let me know where you are at in the chat room. Let me get this to join. Let me know where you at in the chat room. Shout out to you, Rain and Womb. Good. What's going on? Master Thought, Feelings, Actions. I appreciate that. What else? Let me know where you're from in the chat room. We're gonna get going in a few minutes. Let's get it going. Let's get it going today. And somebody would be calling. Can't even answer. When your mom called, right? Doing it. Shout out to everyone. So here we go. They said I couldn't make it past the 7th grade. Ooh wee, ooh wee, ooh wee. Let me make this adjustment right quick. There we go. Yep, they said I couldn't make it past the 7th grade. Ain't that correct? The 7th grade, man. I got a story to tell. But I want everybody, y'all didn't do it. Yep, we got people watching. If you watching, put where you are at or where you from in the chat room so we can get this going. Let's do that. Put that in the chat room where you're from and where you at, where you going, what's going on. Let me make sure I get this. Everybody want to call, man. And we only have a couple people looking. They watching in the wings. I'm gonna drop some game. Don't worry about that. Don't worry. I'm gonna drop some game. But I'm gonna have to share this because I think a lot of people need to hear this. A lot of people need to hear this. Shout out to everyone that's listening. So let's Brooklyn, New York in the house. I'm gonna talk Texas in the house. Brooklyn. That's what I'm talking about. Texas, Brooklyn. Let me know where you're from, where you at. Brooklyn, Texas. Shout out to everyone. If you're watching this, put in the chat room where you are from, because once I get going, that's it. I'm rolling like a wheelbarrow. I'm going downhill and coming back uphill. So let's get it going. So let me make sure this mic is hot. All right, Texas in the house. Shout out to Texas in the house. Shout out to Texas. They're representing the day. Shout out to you guys. Y'all representing the day. Hold up, I seen something on my floor I can't take. I'm a neat freak. Okay, so today they said I couldn't make it past. They said I couldn't make it past the 7th grade. So let me drop some. Let me sort of preface this. Get some clarity of what's going on. I don't know if you guys seen the new movie with Jamie Foxx. If you coming in, pick where you're from. Newport, what's going on? Newport News, what's going on? Phoenix, all right. Arizona, shout out to you. When you come in, let me know where you at. I don't know if you guys seen the new movie with Jamie Foxx called Burial. Very good movie. I recommend everybody go see that movie. It was very good movie. But I want to, when you come in, let me know where you at. Drop where you at or where you're from. I'm from Cleveland. I'm back in Cleveland. I done lived a couple places, but I want to make sure I shout you out today. But if you haven't seen the movie with Jamie Foxx called Burial, it was a very, very good movie. Some very touching and some very points I want to give in to talk about what we're going to talk about today. So I want to make sure you get that. So Burial, it was a good movie. Go see that. But one of the things, I'm not going to give it away. I'm not going to give the movie away, but I'm going to bring it to what I'm going to say to set my story up. One of the key things with Willie Garrett in the movie is he had a strong why. And I think every man, every woman, if you go and I put in on Instagram and on Facebook, if you don't have a strong why, you need to move forward in life. You need a strong why. And that was one of the key points in the movie Burial. I'm not going to give it away. No spoiler alerts or nothing like that. But now it goes back to when I was in the 6th grade. I was in the 6th grade here in Cleveland, Ohio. And I was an okay student. Let's put it that way. I fared. I did, just be very honest. I did the bare minimum. I didn't exude as much effort as I could have. And that was one of the things that my teachers used to say when they send the progress reports home or when they have teacher conference. Young LDA really didn't, he's smart, but he doesn't put a lot of effort into it. So during this time in the 6th grade, we had a good time. I'm not going to name the teacher name because people in Cleveland know who she is. She was a great teacher. Everybody wanted to be in the class. She was a lot of fun, but she taught us. She taught all the classes. And of course, you know, back then we had the reading groups. So they had different color reading groups, and the teacher would call up a different reading group, and they would go and read in the reading book. And then the other students had to do work while the reading group was up there reading. And you know, you always wanted to be in the top reading group. And you know, I was not in the top reading group. I was not in the top reading group. Just be very clear. I wasn't in the top reading group. I think I was about midway, but I wasn't down with, you know, with those who was watch, spot, run. I wasn't with them. But what the interesting thing is, we had a teacher's aide who helped assisted our teacher sometimes, our teacher, Mrs. W. Just call her Mrs. W. And the teacher aide was named I was about to say her name, Mrs. S. And the interesting thing, it was coming towards, we went through Christmas time. We got our little Christmas gifts, you know, we exchanged gifts, and then we had Valentine's, and we did that. And the crazy thing, it came around to, it was time for us to start do our testing about us preparing to go to junior high school. Now, this is the big thing for me and everybody in the classroom about who was going to graduate to go to junior high school. And I was nervous. And one of the teachers, I remember it was a Friday, the teacher's aide said, "I don't think you are passed to the 7th grade. You won't make it." She said that the work right here is this hard. They're going to make you do this. They teach you at college level. And I don't think you or any one of you guys in here are going to make it. I don't know if she was trying to do that to motivate us, but I took a sort of offense at that. Like, what? How dare you tell us young, impressionable minds, Mrs. S, that I and some of my classmates, that we were not going to make it at the 7th grade, won't pass the 7th grade, that we are drop out or we are just give up. I don't know if she's looking at our reading scores, our math scores, because I hated doing math, to be very honest. But I was like, why was Mrs. S, the teacher's aide, saying this about us? What's going on, Renee? Why was she saying this about us? And then, you know, particularly me, that, you know, I don't think you're make it past the 7th grade. And I didn't know what to say. You know, I didn't have the fly clothes I have now. I had some hand-me-downs on. We sort of went to the Goodwill sometimes. I ain't going, no need to front, no need to pretend. And I was like, man, no, I combed my hair, so I did keep my hair. What's going on? I made it back to Georgia since Monday. Good to see you, Ted. Welcome back. And I kept my hair up, and I was floored as a kid and hurt and sort of despondent by this teacher's aide telling me that I wouldn't make it past the 7th grade. And it was, I don't want to say it damaged me, but it shook me. I remember because it was on a Friday. And I know us kids were, in the 6th grade, we were sort of loud and we were bad. And I remember our teacher at that time, you can give you can do corporal punishment, or you can get the paddle. So we got paddled, and I don't know about y'all, but we got paddled when I was in elementary school, or we got the ruler. And I remember our teacher at the end of the day, we call us, y'all can call us snitches now, but back then we had people who were assigned to telling you when you did something wrong. And so I remember in elementary school, you know, at the end of the day, you would get so many tallies of how many people, what you were doing wrong. And sometimes my name got on the list for talking or, you know, doing something or something that happened at the playground, and they would report back to the teacher. And at the end of the day, she'll have you put your hand out, and then she'll paddle your hand so many licks. I was like, oh. So all this is going on, and towards the end of the day, I'm gonna say it again, the teacher's aide, Mrs. S, I don't know if she was upset at us. Yeah, tattletales. That's exactly what it was. Tattletales. Yeah, title test. Any game you give brothers in the wheelchair, you give the brothers in the wheelchair. Yeah, I'll get to you. We get there. And so I remember the teacher, the teacher's aide said, y'all ain't gonna make it in the 7th grade. Y'all barely can read, y'all barely can do math. You ain't ready when you go up there. When you go up to, I'm gonna say the school I was going to, because it was a lot of kids that went there. Margaret Spellacy, they gonna eat you up because the teachers teach on a college level and this and this and that. Now I'm a 6th grader. I'm 6 years. I'm in the 6th grade. I'm impressionable. I'm at this time you start. I remember I like this one girl. I ain't gonna say her name, but I know her name. I like this girl and a couple girls in my class and other classes and things like that. And that was a punch to my self-esteem that this teacher's aide told me and some classmates, we ain't gonna make it. I don't know if you ever been in that situation or things like that, but that crushed any hopes of me doing anything in education. Because how this teacher's aide, who was assisting with doing the testing, who was assisting in our reading, who was assisting in our math, and when the teacher wasn't there, she was there to assist. And she gave an assessment of what we could not do. She didn't encourage us. She actually put a wet blanket on us and told me and my fellow classmates that we were not going to make it when we went to junior high school. And she went further and said, when you get to high school, it's going to be even tougher. You ain't going to be able to do it. And that high school at the time I was going from Margaret Spellacy, then you would go to Collinwood. So shout out to all my alumni, Collinwood High School. And I was like, man. So I hear I'm a 6th grade I had hair back then. So I want to everybody, I had hair back then. Sometimes it was combed, sometimes it wasn't. My clothes fit, but it didn't fit. I had the button-up shirts with the big collars. I tell you how long ago that was. And it came down time to find out who was going to the 7th grade. If you listen to this, let me know where you put in the chat room where you're from. What's going on, fam? Good to see you, Black. What's going on, bro? Put in the chat room where you're from or where you at right now, what state you in. Put what state you in right now. If you're listening to this, put that in the chat room. Put what state you are from and where you at. Put in the chat room what state you're from and where you at. But I'm gonna get back to the story and when it was time for us to figure out what's going on, son, what's going on. It was time for us to figure out in the 6th grade, Cali, baby. All right. It was time for us to figure out in the 6th grade, and we gotta take our pictures and things like that. We're trying to figure out. They had a list with all the grade, California, but Louisiana. Yes, when I'm talking about Cali and House, shout out to y'all. So it was time for us to figure out who was going to go to the 7th grade. Everybody was pumped because you're going to high school. It's going to be more for guys. It was going to be more girls there. And, you get to be with the big dogs. And it was on a Friday. It was sunny outside. We had the windows that cracked like this. So you open the windows and it opened up towards the outside. And I sat in the classroom. And what she did, our teacher, Mrs. W, she strategically, since my last name was Virginia, good to see you. Since my last name was last name is Adams, I was the last. So the last went, my name was supposed to go first, but I was the last. So she went down East Mountain. Okay, what's going on? East Mountain District. Irv, I like that. Since my name was the last on the list, I was sitting in the classroom after lunch. And what she'll do is, if you were going to the 7th grade, you got to leave early. So that means you got your name called, and you get to take a letter home and tell your parent that you went to the 7th grade. My name being the last name A, man, it was torture. I sat in there in the classroom like, man, John Brown, he's going to 7th grade. So and so and so, Shakika, she going to the 7th grade. She went down the list and she took her time. Man, I'm telling you, I had to use the bathroom. I was nervous. I was looking out the window. I had my fly collar. Back then I had a little fro. I ain't had no Jerry curl back then or S curl, but I had a little my big white shirt on, and I had some dress blue pants and my church shoes on. And I sat there. I was nervous, bro. I was nervous because I thought for a minute that my name was going to be called to go to the 7th grade. And I sat there. It was like me and my other friend. Shout out to him if you listen. That's my dude Richie. We was in there. My other dude Lemire. I think Lemire was in my class. I think he was, but we was in there. Richard was. Shout out some couple people that were in there. Man, it was torture. And we were looking like, man, I know I did good on them tests and them, the reading scores and doing this and that. You start questioning yourself. Then finally, it got down to my name. LDA, you will be going to the 7th grade. I kid you not. It was like somebody took a 10-pound, 50-pound weight off of me. But it was one catch. I remember what this teacher aide said to me, that you're not going to make it past the 7th grade. You're not going to make it past the 7th grade. And here I looked at this woman, because she was with my teacher, as an authority over my educational progression, that I, as a man, especially a Black man, was not going to make it past the 7th grade because of my reading skills and because of my math skill. Yeah. She put a ruler. Yeah. And I was stuck, man. So all summer, I'm kicking it with the boys. Did I have a bike? Yeah, I think I had a bike during that time, and we played and things like that. My father sort of pulled me to the side. I think I told this story before, but I want you to get this. And I want you to get this game. Some of you, the reason why things are not moving forward in your life is because someone tried to let me give a better example. When the elephant is small, they put a rope around your mongoose, bro, you going back. Mongoose with the peg, yeah. You and me had the mongoose, yeah. And the trick bikes, yeah, we had the trick bikes, yeah. BMXs. See, everybody don't know about that. So yeah, so the summertime we kick in. But I want you to get this about the elephant. What they do, they put a rope around the elephant and they tie it to a stake. And when shout out, appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. Salute and peace to the family. Thank you so much. So when the elephant is small, when he try to push against the rope that's around his neck and pull, he can't pull away. So as he gets older, the elephant gets used to the rope being around his neck and the stake being there. And now when the elephant is older, all you got to do is put a rope around his neck and it would not move any further. And what happened in my 6th grade class on that Friday, when Mrs. S told me and a group of other guys that we would not go past the 7th grade. She put an invisible rope of limitation on what our edge, or how far we were going to go in graduating or even making it to it. Shout out to John the W coming in with the super chat right there. Appreciate that. Ooh, look at that. Look, there we go. It's called colorable law of authority. It happens when someone hinders progress or growth by the title or position they held. Right. And that's what happened. And why am I saying this? Why am I bringing this up? Why am I saying this? Why? What's the game behind it? And I know some of y'all may not can relate. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, LDA. I'm a 70s kid, 70s, 80 kid, graduated. But I want you to get this because you may know the game. You may know, and I'm gonna give the rest of the story too. Pay attention. I'm gonna get the rest of the story. You may know the game, but someone has put a limitation on how far you can go and what you can do. Someone has said something to you or about you that has defined you. Mrs. S, I send blessings to her. I remember how she looked to this day. If I was to see her today, I wouldn't know how she looked. She's way older. But she put a limitation on how far I could and the people around me could go in our education endeavors. It's the same thing in the game or in life. Many times as children, our environment, our parents, teachers, whoever it may be, had tried to put limitations on us to give us a definition of who we were so that it would hinder our progression forward. What's going on, Shalonda? And I want you to really get this. Get this. Imagine a 6th grader battling, because I wasn't the most popular kid. I'm gonna be honest. Don't even try to front. I was cool. I was cool with the nerds and I was cool with the cool kids. I was right there in the middle. It's cool with the smart kids and all. I was right there. But imagine saying that to a kid, because I was really quiet in school. You hear what you see now? I was not like that. I was really quiet. Imagine telling the child that you ain't gonna make it past the 7th grade.
Execute Order 66.
Imagine someone telling you that. Look at that. You said the same. My late husband told me one time that I was fat and too old and too ugly to get a man. I really stuck with me until he passed and I learned different. Wow. Now everybody, oh, wow. This not only happens in the public sector, but also in the private. Think of the significant others who limit their partners in a verbal or physical abuse because of the fear of being outpaced. Cruelty. Yeah. It's this little. I wish I could. Well, you can't. I'm gonna put the picture of this. Not me when I was in 6th grade, but I'm gonna put the picture up so you can see. That's a young LDA. That's me. That's when I went to prom right there. So that's when I went to prom right there. That's where LDA was at prom. That's me right there. I have my date right there. She knows who she is from high school. But imagine this child carrying. And if I would have told my mother or my father, it would have been some serious issues. Listening to and got a meeting in 5 minutes. I appreciate it, John W. Imagine I couldn't tell my mother, because my mother would have definitely went ballistic on her. Or imagine telling my father, he would have went straight up there with his suit and tie on and told her something. But here I buried inside of me what this word said, because what this teacher's aide said to me, I buried it inside of me. So finally, like I said, during the summertime, we were, we BMXs, we had a monsoon, we had the mongoose, we had to definitely we were doing tricks and things like that. We was playing hide on SIG, we was doing all that. But then the notice come in about me going to the 7th grade. And I had to be bused to school. Imagine the anxiety that I had, and this woman's words playing in the back of my mind about, you ain't gonna make it past the 7th grade. Has anyone maybe not been in that situation, but has anyone been in a situation where someone has said something to you or try to limit you by their perception of you and your words? Let me know in the chat room. Put a number 2 in the chat room. Put a number 2 in the chat room. I had to get some water. Put a number 2 in the chat room. Let me know. Steve Harvey's teacher said he wouldn't be on TV. He said he sent her a TV. Woo. How many of y'all been in a situation similar to that? He said, yeah, too. Yeah, self-talk, yeah. The audacity of her ruining your whole summer like that. Yeah. So here I go. I'm getting up to the 7th grade, and I'm gonna see what you said, John, because I know you got something. Authority figures placing self-limiting beliefs on you as a child without context is sabotaging, but it can also be a point of motivation. Now you're getting it. Now you're getting it. I get it, Elder Day. You're talking about the feedback loop from hell. This is the voice of others being stuck in your head, causing you to stagnate yourself, thinking you ain't sugar honey iced tea and ain't never going to be sugar honey iced tea. John W. right on the money right here. And this is where the story changed. So my first day, I catch the bus going to Margaret Spellacy, and it is crowded. There's a bunch of kids. We get there. I'm riding the bus with my everybody in the neighborhood. And then I get there, and while the bus is coming up, 2 girls get into a fight. I know one girl was named Precious. That's what I want to say. And she didn't like the movie from Precious either. She was cold. Let's put it that way. So the first day, I'm waiting on the bus. We getting at the bus, and there's a fight between 2 girls. And the one girl, they start fighting, and next thing you know, the one girl snatched her bra off. I said, "Wow, welcome to junior high school." I'm on the bus. I'm about to be a 7th grader, and it's a fight outside. 2 girls, they were fighting because something happened in the summertime, and the one girl snatched the girl's bra off. And I said, "Wow, and wow." And then it was my time to get to 7th grade. And as Jonathan W. said, I use what took place with this lady, with this teacher's aide said, as motivation. This is something we have in common, which has made us better people, not allowing what's said to hold us back, but push us to excellence. Right? I'm I walk into junior high school. My junior high school got the homeroom was Mrs. Dean. I don't know how I got a good memory. Yeah, I was like that. First day, you know, you getting off the bus and all you seeing something fly up in the air. Like, what the what? You know, hormones are kicking in. You're in the 7th grade, and the first thing you see is I remember the girl name was Precious. That's all I remember. I don't remember the other girl name, but baby, the first day of going to junior high school was the first thing I seen. We didn't even get off the bus real good, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. And it was a bunch of kids. We had a bunch of kids in our junior high school. And I remember going to my homeroom, Mrs. Dean, and she is her first year out of college, and she was a teacher. And she was the most encouraging and most poured back into us as students. But I want to get to the point I want to get at, just the game part. And John W. gave it away, and some other y'all gave it away. I'm gonna tell you now, she didn't look like Precious from off the movie Precious. She looked really precious. Let's put it that way. She didn't look like the lady from the movie. She didn't look like Precious from the movie. She looked, whoo, that's all I'm gonna say. She was nice. So hope she ain't watching, or she, you know, her kids or somebody ain't watching. Or nobody I know went to school remember who she was. But she was precious. That's all I'm gonna say. But I use what this lady said, because it was playing like you said, it was playing a loop in my head. You ain't gonna make it past the 7th grade. And you ain't gonna make it past the 7th grade. You ain't gonna make it past the 7th grade. You ain't gonna make it past the 7th grade. You can't read, you can't write. And I sat there and I made a decision. My locker buddy was Corey. His name was Adams. My name is Adams. And I remember I made a decision with all these kids here at Margaret Spellacy. I made a decision. I'm not going to be here for 3 years because it's 2 years, 7th and 8th grade. I'm going to go to high school. I made a decision that I was going to prove Mrs. S wrong. Her words now became my motivation. And now, because I made a decision based on what I made a decision first to believe what she said, but now I had to make another decision to not to believe what I'm going to say, that I'm going to prove her wrong. And what I did was I made sure I proved Mrs. S wrong. I got there, I buckled down, I played a little bit, don't get me wrong. I took home economics, I took science, I did all this. I think Mr. Fazikis and Fitch and all them. I remember all the teachers, different teachers, home economics and math, Miss Reed and Miss Travis and all. I remember all the teachers, all like that. But I made sure, I said, you know what? I ain't about to be in the 7th grade for three. I'm not going to flunk the 7th grade or the 8th grade. I'm going to prove her wrong. I don't know what got into me, but I made a decision within myself that I was not going to be stuck like this. And what I did was, now I ain't get the merit roll, I ain't get the honor roll, but I was at least touching I was in the B section. I was in the CB section. I wasn't in the D section. I was in the CB section. You know, when you go to a theater, they give you different sections. But I was in the C and B section. I wasn't in the A section, but I was in the C and B section of, when it come to grading. You think she knew your character and intentionally challenged you? That's a good point. That's a good point. I made the same decision. 8 started the grades, choose to learn, not play. it carried over to my work life, choosing to make money instead of making friends. So that's a good point. She could have said that to motivate, to challenge us. But what if I took her literally with this substitute teacher, not substitute, but with this teacher A said, and took it literally what she said? What if I took it literally? The game here I want you to get is no matter what has happened in your past, no matter what people have said about you on what you can and cannot do, you have to make a decision within yourself that ain't nobody, no one, mama, daddy, cousin, brother, pimp, teacher, whoever ain't gonna stop me from moving forward. In that moment, why I brought up the movie Burial with Jamie Foxx, I, as a seventh grader, found my why. I was growing my hair, Kid and Play wasn't out yet. Who was out during that time, seventh grade? Might have been Run DMC was like popular back then, right then. What was the song? Funhouse was out. If you know Run DMC, I'm the King of Rock was, I think, wasn't even out yet. I'm the King of Rock. There's no higher. Took a MC, said, call me sire. I think that was out. Run DMC was out. But I found my why. Let me say that again. My why was so big that it propelled me forward to study, to pay attention in class, and to not only prove, it got past the point of trying to prove her wrong. It got to the point where I found my why. Yeah, Kwame was out doing when I was in high school. I had the Kwame haircut too, with the slope and with the dye on the side. Yeah, I had all that. I can't find the pictures. If I did, I'll try to put them up there. But I found my why. My point is saying on this, you can have all the game in the world. You can listen to all the teachings. You can get all the knowledge. You can do all those things. But if you don't have a big enough why, you will settle in everything that you do in life. Me as a seventh grader, I found my why. It was beyond proving her wrong. It was beyond, let me say that again. It was beyond proving this teacher's A wrong that I wouldn't make it past the seventh grade. It was beyond that. It was more of proving to myself that I am an intelligent seventh grader at that time, and that I can comprehend and do the work and go to the next level. So imagine me as a seventh grader. I had the internal flame lit in me that, okay, because what happens is if you do it just to prove people wrong and you get past that point, guess what happened? It ain't gonna happen. It's gonna go but so far. But I have the internal flame lit in me that my why was bigger than what she did and what she said. My why began to wake up inside of me. The why in me began to burn inside of me. Now I'm just be very clear. I did not do very. I was, like I said, I was in the C and B section of grading in junior high school, 7th and 7th and 8th grade. I ain't trying to fool nobody. People be trying to up here and flex. Yeah, I was doing this and I was doing that. No, I was in the C and B section. You know, sometimes I'm slipping, you know, a D may come up there and then my father helped, you know, light my load on my back end, and I light my load, and I figured out how to get, you know, I somehow with the load got light on my butt, you know, my father helped me, and my mother fussing at me, I came out the D section and I went into the C section, and then I touched the little B's, I touched the B grades. I'm just letting you know the true real deal. So I found my why inside of there. I found my why beyond just proving her wrong. My why began to wake up inside of me. Facts. Discovering what your why is marks a beginning of walking in your purpose. So I found my why. But then I got to the 8th grade, and you know, 8th grade, everybody danced. I think at that time I had a little Jerry curl, little something at the top of my head. Nobody better not find those pictures who I went to school with. But I had a little Jerry curl. I was working. Next stop was the S curl and all like that. I had to have that. And it was time to go to high school. And I remember what the teacher aide said, you wouldn't make it past the 7th grade. Now I passed the 8th grade, and I was going into the 9th grade. Here we had at least 200 to 300 in the 9th grade. But that summer before going to school, it was a big school. My mother didn't want me to go. My father was like, let the boy go, because he had went there for a second and he got kicked out. But I ended up, it was that summer before going to 9th grade that my father, shout out to my father, may he rest in peace. Yeah, I had to have that activation. I had that Jerry curl, Jerry. I had the Jerry curl. I had the little, well, you don't see it right now, but I had a little Jerry curl up there. I'm gonna tell you my biggest product I had. Y'all can laugh about it all you want. Y'all can talk about activator juice, all that stuff. I had Snapback. If you know what Snapback is, let me know in the chat room. Snapback was when you couldn't make it to the beauty shop. And I did have some kitchen curls. So everybody, I ain't going in front. I had some kitchen curls. You get your Jerry curl done in the kitchen. They call it the kitchen curl. People used to laugh at you, but shoot, them kitchen curls saved me. But and then me, LDA, I had a beautician come up to our house and do my hair. I thought I was doing something. I ain't going, yeah, shout out to the beautician. Shout out to Landis. He used to come to the house and do my Jerry curl. I had the bag, the Jerry curl, and put the rollers in. He used to come to the house, and used to roll it, put the line there, and then he roll it, then sit, talk to my parents, and man, that was the woo. I don't even know how my parents even paid for my Jerry curl, but I had a Jerry curl back then, and but going to the 9th grade. That's when Kid and Play was coming out, coming into the place. And I blew they call it a blowout. I blew my Jerry curl, I washed it, and I picked it up, and I had the Kid and Play. So I had the big height. And I had a jean jacket, so you couldn't tell me nothing. I was so I went into the 9th grade. But during that summer, my father, I think I talked about this. Had a book called, I think it was The Power of Thinking or Belief or something like that. The Magic of Believing. That's what it was. The Magic of Believing. I think I got it over here somewhere. The Magic of Believing. And I shared this before. I'm going to share it again. I want you to get this game. He says, son, I want you every morning and every night when you brush your teeth, because you brush your teeth in the night and then in the morning, I want you to look at a mirror and say that I will make the merit roll and honor roll. I was like, this guy is, in my mind, I couldn't say it to my dad. I couldn't say it because my dad was sort of stocky. He was short, stocky guy. And I didn't want to deal with that. I didn't want those problems, and I was only, I was like a rail back then. If you blew too hard, you'll blow me over. But I had a big kid and play height going into high school. So during the morning time, I brush my teeth. Yeah, I'm gonna make Mary Roll honor roll, Mary Roll honor roll, and I Mary Roll honor roll. Did it at night, Mary Roll honor roll, Mary Roll honor roll, Mary Roll honor roll. Yeah, I can do it. I can read. Get to ninth grade, almost 300 ninth graders there. Shout out to Mr. Martin, who was the principal of the high school. I can't remember the unit principal. Can't remember her name. Anyway, I end up the first class, the first report card. I end up making close to the merit roll. Man, it shook me. I was like, whoa, me? And the first thing that came in my mind is what that teacher aide said to me in the sixth grade and some of my classmates. It was like the ghost from the Christmas past came up, and she was like, "You ain't gonna make it past the seventh grade." I was like, "Oh, here I'm in the ninth grade," and I start shaking. I'm like, "Oh shoot, what am I gonna do?" I got close to the merit roll, but I didn't make it. So I said, I remember Dad telling me that about. So I start re-energize or start doing again the practice of going in front of the mirror and telling myself that I can make the mirror honor roll. The next semester, I end up making the merit roll. Baby, it shook me because it was so many kids at Collinwood High School, and it was a lot of us. And I was like, dog, I made merit roll. And here in the back of my mind, that loop, like you said, was going on of Mrs. S saying, you ain't gonna make it past seventh grade. You can't read, you can't write, you can't do this. So there was an internal fight going on inside of me with what she said and the evidence of the report card that I took home to my parents. Well, they mailed out to the house. Baby, they mailed that to the house. And I had to make a decision again because I found my why, but I had to make a decision. Whose voice would I listen to? Would I listen to the voice of what she said, or would I listen to the voice of the evidence that's in front of me? That's another example of working the feedback loop. This works because the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between perception and reality. You have to have what you said about, yep. And so at that time, as a ninth grader, with my high top fade, I worked at McDonald's. So all y'all tripping now. I worked at McDonald's. I was hi, can I take your order, please? You want a number 2? Okay, sure. Fries and would you like to upgrade that? I don't think upgrade was a word. Yeah, I think upgrade was a word. Would you like to supersize that? Yeah, me doing that. I think was it that time? 6, 7. Yeah, I might have been doing that. Yeah. Anyway, my point is I had to make another decision on whether I was going to listen to the old feedback, or was I going to take the new perception of who I was and run with it. I want you to really get this game I'm about to say to you, what I'm about to share. How many kids and how many people are wrestling internally with internal feedback or internal conversations from when you were a kid about you, or they may not say it to you, but they said it around you, and you having a whole conversation with things that happened when you were 10, 7, 6, 12, 13 years old. And you are eternally, you having a whole, you don't know, have a comment. People like, who are you talking to? I ain't talking to nobody. I'm just, I'm just talking to, you're fighting. Could you be fighting why the internal dialogue that's going on inside of you about women, for guys? For women, your internal dialogue about men, fathers, mothers. Could it be that no matter how much game you hear, until you push stop on the tape recorder of the internal loop that's inside of you, your game is going to work but so much. I brought up some points here I want you to get. Got to find your why. Game is good, but you have to have a why you're using the game. 2, you have to canvas. You have to walk through as a little kid on trick or treat and realize who's been giving you some bad treats and putting it in your bag and telling you that is Snickers and that is Snickerdoodles and that is gummy bears or whatever the case may be. Who's been giving you bad treats and saying that is good? I see your question right there. Then I'm gonna bring everybody along. How do we transform our subconscious? I gave the answer. I'll give the answer again. You listen to it. I gave you the answer how you transform your. Let me read this. Dates back to 8th grade school report. Report have haunted me. See, there you go. You found it. You have internalized your perception based on the negative comment of others and allow that to be the foundation of your life. Right. Facts. That's why it is important to speak life according to the things you're taking action on. To say I'm enough or I do belong only works if you direct it towards the certain actions. What is your why? I pushed to be the best author, fighting best with negative reports. Right. Yeah. So I want you to get this. I want you to get the game. I'm giving it to you. So you asked a good question. How do we transform our subconscious, or how do we put on this mind? As I gave an example, as a 9th grader, as a 6th grader, and even in the 8th grade, I want you what I did was the way I was able to transform my mind. I gave one example. I spoke to myself in the mirror. I said, mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the greatest of them all? There was a rumble double, 5 minutes or less. He said, you are. I begin to speak to me. I begin to remind myself of who I am here. See, most people have the game here, but it has not we talked about this, have not transforming here. So how do you get to your subconscious? You have to speak to your subconscious and actually say, this is who I am. Now I'm gonna tell you, I did make honor roll and merit roll. Then I lagged off towards the end of my high school career, and I just sort of swim through. I'm just very clear. And matter of fact, I did not take swimming in high school. Don't ask me how I did it, but I just trust me, I didn't. Shout out to my gym teacher. Somebody messaging me, I don't know who it is. But I want you to get this. Don't allow your past, don't allow people's opinions or people's thoughts about you, especially when you were a kid, to frame where you are going next. Yeah, there you go. Figure out who gave the negative commentary. Do some introspection and put those words into context. Start putting forth positive affirmations, changing the trajectory of your life. And when we do positive affirmations here, We are talking about you speak it as if it already happened. Let me give an example, LDA. Thank you. I'm glad you asked. Instead of saying that I was going to make the merit roll or the honor roll, I said I've already made the merit roll and honor roll. I'm an A and B student. I make a 4.0, 3.0, 4.0. Now, not going to happen, not should have happened. It has taken place now. That is an affirmation. I'm going to give you one more thing. I'd like to see some videos of your on your fashion sense. Thumbnails are classy. I appreciate that. Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. I'll have to bring some of those videos out. But I definitely want you to get that. So I had to, when you do an affirmation, trying to get your subconscious together, trying to speak life into you, you speak it as if it is now, not going to happen, but it has already happened. So how LDA made it past the 7th grade? I graduated from high school and went to college. And then I did, I tanked in college. But I'm gonna give you something, because you asked a good question. I'm gonna give you something about that, the fashion sense. I said in the story, if you go back and listen to it, I said, actually, I had hand-me-downs and I had stuff from the Goodwill. My parents did, both my parents did work, whatever the case may be, but sometimes it just didn't happen. It is what it is. I learned at an early age, because my father used to get his clothes tailor-made, his suits tailor-made, and my mother used to sew her clothes. But, times were tough, Reagan years and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't always good in the Adams house. Just be very honest. And nobody needed to trip out about it. But I'm going to tell you about a fashion sense. What I learned to do was take what I had and put my spin on it. So I can get something, I don't know if I can say this, because this is all part of the story. I can get something from Walmart, put it with something from over here and something with over there, and guess what? Make me look like I'm a millionaire. Speaking positive affirmations works in the effort of causing changing towards a particular outcome. The why behind it, I made the honor roll, points to walking the stage of graduations. That's how it works. You got it. So So what I did for us with the fashion, even with this, because I dressed a little bit. Like I said, I had a hot top fade. I had the Kid and Play. Then I cut it down. I had the Kwame. If anybody know who Kwame is, the polka dot age. I had my hair dyed, and I used to love to dance. I was a dancer back in the day. I used to dance, all that, all that kind of stuff, and ticking and talking and all that. Oh boy, y'all ain't want none of that. I used to do all that back in the day. But what I know about fashion is, what I did was I began to study other people that did fashion, but I learned how to take what I had and put my spin on it. And what I mean by that, I took different pieces. One of the biggest things I think guys miss in fashion is they get something that looks cheap and it comes off cheap. So I'll give you one pointer. You got dress shirts. Make sure you get a heavy. What I mean was a certain thread count dress shirt. If you getting that thin as air, you can see through a dress shirt. I already know that it's cheap. You only paid $29.95 and you got it somewhere. Well, $19.99 and you pay for it. So the fashion part of it is you begin to put different pieces together. And then this is the biggest thing. I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna answer. What the biggest thing is, a lot of times people are trying to get fashion and classy and doing like that. You need to find the fashion that fits your personality and who you are. A good haircut, a good trimming, a good glasses, or a good things to wear goes a long way. I promise you. I promise you. Simple grooming goes a long way with fashion. Now I'm gonna go back to this because Jonathan W said something that's good. I already have is the key. You start doing actions. You start doing actions conducive to outcomes you desire. Right. So I'm gonna say something about that, and then I'm gonna get ready to go. Let me put this link in here right quick. If you want to come up, you can come up right quick, and then we're gonna cut this. But I hope you got something today from this. Thank you, Jonathan W for that right there. Go. Here we go. So if Jesus said, and I'm paraphrasing, pray as if it's already happened, how do we pray? Great question. How do we pray? You pray in the tense. How do you pray? You pray in the sense that you recognize that you already have it. What does that mean? Father God, I recognize that I have A, B, C, and D. Now I thank you for it, and you move forward. What happens is people get into repetition thinking that they're trying to convince God of doing something when God has already done something. I'm going to make this simple as possible. So what you do is you pray, you recognize that you are connected to the Almighty or the source, the one. Father, I thank you. I have all things. I am your child. So you pray, you recognize, then what you do next? After you recognize it, that you already have it, then you become thankful. When you was a kid, when they told you, tell you, hey, I'm gonna give you this candy, little Johnny. Okay, thank you. What's the first thing they tell you to do? Say thank you. If you already have something, the next step for you to do is to be thankful that you already received it. The key that mess people up in prayer, I don't know how we got there, but I'm gonna say it, is that they're looking on the outside for a result of what they pray for. So they go back and start praying harder or start doing more things. Wow, hope that didn't go over nobody's head. Let me say it again. The key is when you pray, you were heard the first time. The key is you don't believe that you heard it the first time. So you say, let me say one more thing. God, I know you heard what I said. You know what this and this and that. And what you do is you're trying to convince yourself and trying to convince God of something that he already gave you, but you don't believe that you either deserve it or that he heard you. So what you do is you start going on the bike of repetition. I'm gonna say this one more time. I know you see and what happened is you get hypnotized by what you see on the outside and not what's really going on the inside. Because if you go on the inside, you realize where you're connected with God at. You realize that you already have what you prayed for. You want me to give an example? That's how it works. So your prayer now becomes, I honor you. I recognize what I pray for is here, and I thank you. Thank you, Gina. There you go. After the prayer, trust God that your prayer has been heard, and then change your behavior to match that which you believe God is right, what you believe God for what you need. That is the key. So what happened is I'm guilty of it, and I know this applied to the story of me passing 7th grade and all that. What I've been guilty. I'm RJ, you right there. In other words, transcends from looking at it to looking from it. We didn't go on to the next level. Y'all didn't did it. Why y'all do this? Why y'all do this? So you're looking from it. So let me take it a even step further. Looking from it, but looking even past it. what would you be doing if your prayer or what you're asking for, what would you be doing if you had it right now? That don't mean go out there and go spend the money. I'll be running my credit card. I'll be doing all this. No, 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 no. What would be the next course of action that you will be doing? So what you the key, I know this is looking beyond it. So you looking like this is good. You're transferring from looking at it to looking from it to looking beyond it. I don't know, somebody needs to hear this. I don't know why y'all talking about this prayer, but I'm going to say it. I grew up in intercessory and prayer and all like that. Ask yourself, how would you behave if you had what you asked for? Correct. Responsibly. Right. Thank you, Gina. Because some of y'all like, well, shoot, I'm about to go. Shoot, I just hit the lottery. Then I just asked for the numbers. Shoot, I'm about to go get me a new car. I'm about to do it. No. What happens is, oh, shut up. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you. So they think they're acting in favor and they're acting the doggone fool. Thank you. I appreciate the super chats today. Appreciate that. So I want you to really get this today. So he asked a great question. How do you pray? You honor. You see it. Aha, I got it. And then you go, okay, there it is. And another way of teachers, it teaches you not to stagnate, because you are actively planning through each phase and progression well before it happens. Correct. So how do you pray? How do you get to that place where you like, oh, okay. Oh, all right. If you know the story of me getting my Genesis, you know how that worked. The story of simple. I seen the car. That car's cold, but my bank account in my mind said you can't afford that. Fast forward, a couple months later, I'm looking for an F-150. F-150 just didn't work in the plan. Fast forward, I get a phone call from Gov. He just got a Genesis. I was like, oh wow. Couple weeks of conversation with him. Boom. Next year I'm on the plane. I sold my car and I ended up getting a Genesis. See, this is the thing. What stops people what stops them for their prayers coming forward. They're looking for evidence outside of them and not looking for evidence inside of them. I don't know why y'all got me talking about this. I got to go. They're looking for evidence on the outside of them and not looking that the evidence of what they pray for has already happened inside of them. The reason why a lot of people get stuck and I prayed and I prayed and I prayed and I prayed and I did all this, because they're looking for evidence on the outside of them and not realize the evidence that they need to put their 10 toes down on. This is the real game. It's the evidence that they have on the inside of them. I was thoroughly convinced that I was going to make the merit roll and honor roll. I made a decision in the 7th grade in Miss Dean's homeroom class. Well, she was nice looking anyway. But anyway, I made a decision that, I'm making it out of this. I'm not going to spend 3 years here at junior high school, Marcus Spellacy. A decision was made. I seen myself already with turning the tassel. I'm gonna give you an example. Can you give me an example? Great. I'll give you an example. Can you give us an example of a prayer, please? Sure, no problem. So my son is at my youngest son, he's at Ivy League School. When he was there, we went down there to get him to see about do we like the college and all like that. And, he got part of a program, very intelligent man. I said, son, you like this college? Yeah, I like it, Dad. I'm going to tell you something. Your goal here is to turn the tassel. You're going to see what I'm saying. As the father, I was already at the end of him turning the tassel. That means turning when you graduate. After you graduate and you get your papers, you're fully done. They tell you to turn the tassel. I think it's from left to right or right to left. And it says that you're graduated, you completed all courses, and you have now become either you got your whatever degree that you have or whatever it is you got. So I told him to turn, your goal here is to turn the tassel. Everything in between is none of my business. But it happened to be my business. I'm paying money for it anyway. But I told him to turn the tassel. So you asked me to give you an example of a prayer. I've just given several examples. I'm going to give another one. So the prayer is, say you're praying for something. You pray and recognize what you want. Realize that once you prayed it, that you have it, then you go into a place of thanksgiving, or you go in a place of being thankful that I got it. Thank you. I thank you. I do it all the time. I go into you can do meditation. You can do whatever you need to do to get you in the place where you realize it's mine. Once you think about it, would you think about this? Will you continue to pray for something? Okay, let's put it there. Let me make it real plain. How many of y'all are going to pray for a phone? How many people are going to really pray for a phone? I'm going to pray for a phone. I'm going to get a phone, want a phone. You don't need to pray for a phone because you already have it. I don't need to pray for a phone because I have a phone. I want you to get that. That means once you put it out there, this is what you want. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna cut it because this got to go into a seminar talk behind the scenes. But I'm gonna say this: once you have the desire for something, once you have the desire for it, it's proof that you already have it. I'm gonna leave that right there. So I hope you got something from my story today about me. Why they said I couldn't pass the 7th grade. Hope you got something from that. Once you desire it, you already have it. Don't pray for money. Pray for this. Now you got me one more second. I got a good example. Discipline once you have the money. That's good. That's a good example. Woo. I'm gonna give you this one about this. So I'm gonna get a story about this. Just John, you trigger this, and I'm gonna go on this one. So there was 2 guys that were running track. This is about the money. I want you to get this about the money. 2 guys. They were running 4x4 or whatever they were about to run a race. So the one guy was so focused on the guy that he had to run against that he was trapped in his mind. So the gun went off. Get on your mark, get set, go. They shoot the gun. So the one guy A is focused on guy B. And what he didn't realize, because he was so focused on guy B, guy A, that he lost the race to guy B. My point is saying that when you focus on getting money and not going to the place where you already have the money, you run a different race. He was focusing on beating that guy and missed the importance of what? Winning the race. I got to stop right there. My daughter desired a desk and a chair. Her coworker said, come and pick me up. Pick mine up. See? Make room for it. Right. So with that being said, this is Lawrence D. Adams. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the super chats today. Appreciate that. Hope you guys got something from my story. I got more story. I got tons of story. Trust me, this is 1 in a million. stories. They said I couldn't make it past the 7th grade. You got to have a strong enough why. You got to be able to dismiss what anybody said about you from your past. And you must realize that you are greater. The only person you need to believe is the person on the inside of you. This is Lawrence D. Adams. I'm out.
Don't forget it, 'cause I can give you a journey. I'm your fantasy, I got you. Tell me what you want, babe. Then come get it. Tell me what you want, babe. You'll get it, babe. Don't forget it, babe. And you'll get it.